Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Rachel Wolfson. I'm going to walk to my chair.
Come on in.
I'm with Cointelegraph. I'm a reporter in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. I've been in the space since 2017 reporting, and I will be moderating this panel entitled Entrepreneurship in Web3 Leading Through Innovation. And I'm going to introduce our panelist. This is Melody Hildebrandt. She's the president of Blockchain Creative Labs.
No.
Gotcha.
Oh.
She does, I think.
Great. And then we have Anjali Young, co-founder and CCO of Abridge Incorporated, makers of Collab.Land. Next, we have Shelley Zalis, CEO of the female Quotient. And finally, we have Sheila Andreen, filmmaker, author, CEO, and co-founder of IndieFlix. Great, wonderful. Well, thanks again for joining us. Okay, first question, ladies. How is Web3 entrepreneurship different from Web2? And maybe also explain a little bit about what Web3 means and what it is. And anyone can jump in and start. Sheila, or
Okay. Just throw me out there. Probably the least knowledgeable of everyone here. So Sheila Andreen, IndieFlix. I've always been an advocate for filmmakers, independent filmmakers, and creators to get their content out there. And of course, we all know in Web 2.0, it's always been, we work so hard to create content and then give it to the gatekeepers. Please pick us. And then we were like, can you just tell us who's watching so we can at least connect with our community? It was always permission-based. And I think the difference is in Web3 that we're the gatekeepers. We're our own gatekeepers. And we can create content and work with bigger brands and gatekeepers, or we don't have to. We get to decide how we want to reach our audience and build our communities.
And I'd add from a technologist perspective, I think trying to facilitate that type of connection, I feel like rather than having kind of these big tech conglomerates that are, the foundation for these connections, we are instead having, decentralized tech that allows, users to actually own the assets that they're buying, and they can do payments, through these new payment methodologies that do not require them to, utilize a common banking infrastructure. You can use like that from the fundamental infrastructure that you're building on. Not everyone's building on Amazon Web Services, right? There's this a lot more choice in terms of the blockchains that you can build upon. So I think from a technology perspective, it's really exciting to be able to unlock the type of creative expression that you're talking about, because also just the tooling is so much more decentralized and democratized. So it's so not easy, but it's there's more things to build upon. And so for builders, it's so exciting to be in this new space. I think that's what's driving so much of this entrepreneurial spirit too. And where there's such this concentration of engineers and product managers who want to be part of this new world because of the technologies they can work with.
right.
Yeah, so that's a hard question to respond to. So entrepreneurship in Web3, or crypto, Web3 is such a large space. It's not one thing. So when I think about what are some examples, like for example, we worked with somebody early on who was writing a book, a crypto fiction book. And so the choice she made is to have a token. So you can buy a token if you want to support like this first draft of her book. And then once her book becomes published, then she would split those, the royalties of the money that she made from her book, if it becomes a success, with everyone who participated in this like initial seed round. So it's like, that's an example where you don't have to necessarily be pitching your book to like the first, 5 publishers that are out there. But crypto Web3 allows people to bring funding together quickly. And so you can reach your people. You don't have to like depend on these old ways where money is gathered and collected like VC or a publishing house. Like that's just one example. But really what it unlocks is the ability to find the people who share your interests and want to support your interest, and then allowing them to participate in your gains. So that's just an example of how it is different from Web 2.
I think the biggest difference is, first of all, I'm Shelley Zalis, CEO of the female Quotient. I think the biggest difference for Web 3.0 is there's 1, 2, 3, for 5 women on this stage. I think that's the biggest difference. And I mean, I want all of you to just look at this crowd. And I think I see 50-50 here. Like, I just was looking around, and I think that is just absolutely remarkable. And I don't think I would have seen that in 2.0. So to me, that's the biggest difference.
Right. I love that response. Great. Wonderful. Can we talk a little bit about what attributes make a Web3 project resonate with entrepreneurs, especially those without prior experience?
Well, a lot of what gets unlocked with crypto and Web3 is you don't necessarily, if you have not found success in the traditional way, which is most people, like, this is an opportunity to make a better life for yourself. Like I said, initially it was like to find your people, but not only find your people, but to gather support for your project. Like with NFT communities, there's the artists all over the world that put out a project, and the people who buy, their collectors, are going to be the people that resonate with their vision, that want to support their mission. So not only, you don't have to just be at Sotheby's or Christie's in order to have a collector. Now it can be a collector, someone can own one piece of your art from anywhere in the world. And so it's just all really about, like what Sheila mentioned about gatekeeping. Like, that's what we're breaking down. It's really what the internet was supposed to be, the vision of, I'm 48. My first job out of college was at a company that thought we had mastered search. And this was years before Google existed. And so it's like, coming out of Berkeley, and that kind of excitement, and what was going to be this new democratization of all of us through the internet, didn't happen. And so now it's like the ability to be here again, 25 years later, or whatever it is, and to say, we have a chance again to manifest what we really wanted that first time around. I just think it's extremely exciting. And so now, not only is it an American phenomenon, which initially what the internet felt like, but now this is a global phenomenon, and it has the ability to affect people's livelihoods, like their actual lives. So I don't even remember the question anymore.
I mean, I think building on that, for the attributes specifically that facilitate so much of what you described, like, is this fundamental concept of ownership. And, you as an artist continue to own your work. You as a collector, as a collector or a fan, you're actually owning something. You're not renting it from a gatekeeper that, could switch platforms, then you lose it. You're not buying a book on Kindle that, if you don't subscribe to Kindle anymore, you lose that thing that you purchased. You felt like you owned it. And so I think the sense of ownership that allows both the creators to choose kind of how they want to bring their work to the world, and then also for the fans to be able to actually own something that can stay with them over time, is really powerful. And so that ownership then can facilitate the community, which I think is the second key attribute of all these successful projects, where the fans have come together and they feel like they're part of something special because they're all owners of something that's unique and is actually directly benefiting the artist who they want to support.
Can I just add to that as an entrepreneur myself, and all filmmakers are entrepreneurs, we're all, somehow we find the money, no matter how we get it, and we get the story made and we get it out there, and that's where everything sort of dropped off. Nobody wants to always be out there with their hand out asking for something. And this is one of the attributes that I like, is that you actually get to reward people who help sponsor you, donate, participate. And another, I think, important thing is defining success. Like, is it just money, or is it impact? Is it awareness? How can you make a difference in the world besides just money?
It's not money. Right. My response to that is, it's not money. It's a voice. It's your contribution. It's being a partner. Any crypto Web3 project out there that's worth anything spends no money on marketing, and you don't need to, because when you have a team of people that buy your asset or use your product, if they like it, they tell everybody. And so people wonder, like with Collab.Land, we don't spend any money on marketing. We never have. Like the most I have is these buttons, and they cost me $100 and something for the.
And yet everyone knows Collab.Land.
Yeah, and it's because if people find value in what you're doing, then they are your advocate.
Yeah.
And the same thing with anyone who, buys a portion of your film or buys an NFT project or supports an artist by buying music. If I like it and I support it and I want to see the artist or the community continue to thrive and make it more valuable, then I'm going to go out and tell people about it. Just because I see an ad for it, that tells me nothing about the community, and the value is in that community because people coming together with a shared mission, a shared vision, being able to move money together. It's about being a part of the movement, not necessarily about the money. I think the money, yes, you have
And
to
community.
but you
your
need
tribe.
the money. Like James, my co-founder and husband, always says, like, people come for the casino. You grab them. They get the excitement is from the casino, the speculation. You cannot let that go because that's what gets people in the door. But once they're in the door, then you sell them on the movement, and it's very easy.
I think that's also why you're seeing so many more women move towards NFTs because of community and because of impact and because of purpose. And and because of the value that they're finding. And when we're talking about artists as well, you're seeing so many more female artists in the NFT space because of the democratization. And when you look at female artists, they've been making so much less than the male artists. And today, because of the equal exposure that we're seeing so many more female artists get their fair share today in that space, which is so wonderful.
Yes and no. I would push back a little bit on that and saying 16% of NFT artists are women right now, and you better believe the NFT projects that are run by women have to work 10 times as hard. So I wouldn't say that it's equal yet. We have a long way to go, but I'm hopeful. I am so hopeful.
There's also a lot of transparency, which I think helps a lot. I mean, there's not there's this ability to actually know where money is going in an entirely public and readable way. So I agree it's about community, but I do think it is about the money. Like that is the empowerment, like the direct connection. I think that's really powerful. I mean, look at what the United States Football League is doing. Like they're allowing players to collect all the royalties of their NFTs. It's going to go directly into their wallets. So that's a sense of like their actual participation. It's not a marketing stunt. It's not you're lucky to get exposure and maybe this money will come later, or the money's going to go into a pool and then through some opaque process it will get distributed. It's like, no, you as an athlete release this NFT, and if it does well, by the time you're in the locker room, that money's in your wallet. I think that kind of transparency and direct connection is really powerful. It's like, I think it is about the money in some ways.
Aside from money, what other opportunities are being open for Web3 entrepreneurs? And also, is Web3 only defined by NFTs? I mean, obviously, digital fashion is becoming big right now. Can we talk about anything else just aside from NFTs when it comes to Web3 and just other opportunities for entrepreneurs?
Well, just full disclosure, I'm playing and experimenting and exploring so I can share back with other storytellers and creators. But we're playing with Race to Be Human. It's a documentary I just made. We're going to be doing a sneak peek. We're not sneak peek. It's screening on the blockchain, starting, I guess, in an hour. And there are NFTs. It's free with a code. We're kind of still figuring that out. But my hope is that by building this community and getting the conversation going in a comfortable way to address racism, I actually feel like there's more opportunity to start to dismantle systemic racism through the blockchain, through NFTs, through cryptocurrency, because it's so decentralized and there are no gatekeepers. And so anyone, if you have $1, you can create wealth for yourself. If you have an idea, you can get out there. And I think the community aspect holds you accountable to being authentic, and it is, as my son informed me, because I'm learning all of this initially from my children, is it's about truth, not trust. Because trust is, I guess, there's a relevance factor, right? But truth is truth, and the ledger, I think, keeps holds us. We have to be accountable.
Right.
I think we're also seeing so many more women, 1 in 3 women actually investing in cryptocurrency. And it's providing a lot more flexibility for women. We are entering into the Great Resignation. We see so many women leaving the workforce right now. And what we are seeing, though, is women investing in cryptocurrency. And when you think about the stock market, it's very difficult with the hours that you have to invest in stock market. But with the crypto, with the wallet, it's flexibility. It's easy with the hours. They can invest in their time, and that's becoming a really amazing opportunity for them. And so many women are investing in crypto. Surprising, not so surprising. So really big opportunities for women. And so from an education perspective, we are now educating women in crypto because it's our opportunity to get women in early before, with the digital age, and especially Web 2.0, women were not getting in early. So for us, getting women into blockchain, it's such a great opportunity to advance women first and foremost in this new era. And so we're pretty excited about everything happening with the NFTs and the crypto. So,
Right. I agree. I mean, I've been in the space since 2017. There were not nearly as many women as I see now. It was very male dominated. And so you make a very good point, Shelley. I think a lot of that has to do because of the NFT boom that we're seeing.
Creativity, community, great opportunity.
Right. Great. Because Web3 is so new, how can we ensure that entrepreneurs are safely onboarded into this space? I mean, it's not very regulated. It's kind of, loose still. So how can we ensure the safety of newcomers and people already in the space?
Yeah, I can speak to that. We can't. It's not there yet. It's like, comparable to like the early days of the internet where people were not sure if they would ever feel comfortable enough to even put their credit card online. That's where we're at. Phishing scams and really not knowing how to transfer your money maybe from one place to another, because if you push the wrong button, it's gone to another wallet and you cannot retrieve it. That's part of decentralization. That's positive and negative, which is someone can't say we're stopping your funds from moving to one place to another. But if I also accidentally send my funds to somebody, there's no one to call. People call us all the time, Collab.Land, like, I lost my money this way. And we're like, there's no answer. So I'd suggest starting small. Starting with money you can afford to lose. Maybe you buy a bad NFT or you buy into the wrong token, or it's very, very hard right now to separate the wheat from the chaff in that who do you trust? And is this a scam? And is this just a pump and dump? Or is this legit? And who's the team behind this? Especially because so much of crypto is still pseudonymous, partially because we don't know what the regulations are going to be moving forward. So what is the best way for somebody that wants to enter is start small. Start really, really small. Join a DAO, join an NFT community. The benefit of these token granted communities is that once you're in them, you get some level of safety, and that the people who have joined the community also have your shared financial asset. And so there's some level of trust first based on this financial asset. And it's hard to explain unless you're in the community. But people who share this financial asset, it's almost like it's a relationship that's different from family. It's different from friendship. It's different from being coworkers. It's like shared owners in a project. So then you can share that information amongst each other because there is a level of trust. So number one, start small. Don't sell your car and put it all in hoping to double it next month. Don't put it, start with money that you can afford to lose, afford to learn with. It should be small experiments that you iterate toward knowledge. There this isn't a situation where you're just going to join and then become an expert and then you're going to get money out of it. Like you can't think of it that way, because and anyone who tells you that that's the way it is totally full of you know what. And so the way to move into this space gently and safely is just to start really small and educate yourselves before you make any kind of big bet, assuming that there's going to be some return.
Yeah, I think safety is a really core issue to the onboarding of new users right now, and just kind of really bringing this technology to a more mainstream audience, which we all are believers it needs to get there. And I think a lot of users encounter this friction, which can be a bit intimidating. And that friction is real. And I think the positive way of looking at that is that there is freedom in that friction. Like, it's very easy to do sign on with Facebook to get onto a website, but what are you giving up in exchange for that ease, right? So maybe writing down a 16-phrase passcode and ensuring that you safely store that's higher friction. I think we need to embrace that. That is true. But in exchange, you actually own that. No one can deplatform you. No one can take that asset from you. So there's these higher friction points, and I think we need to train people. Obviously there's education to handle that safely, because you lose that piece of paper, it's gone. There's no one to call, as Anjali says. And so I think there's a real education opportunity. And from an entrepreneurial perspective, I feel like the technology companies are really embracing, I think, this responsibility in a much more serious way than many Web 2 companies did around safety of their users. There's lessons learned from where Web 2 went wrong in terms of safety and things that weren't considered. And I think with Web 3, a lot of the entrepreneurs are actually thinking about safety in a more serious way. That said, it's still a pretty wild west, and I think the guidance that Anjali gives is really strong. I think it's also they're trusted communities you want to be a part of, and to get into this game for speculation, will probably end in a world of hurt for most people. But if you're supporting communities and artists that you trust and believe in, then it's going to unlock tremendous opportunity. And so that's the right way, I think, to get started. And there are these on-ramps now. Maybe you'll start with a non-custodial wallet. It's hosted, and then over time you can learn to self-custody your own wallet. Maybe you start with more hot, savings of currency, and then you move to cold storage, as you get to a place where you have certain critical mass. So I think there's a kind of journey to go on here, as users get more comfortable with the technology, and as some of these problems are worked through.
Right. I also want to add just one comment. It's always good to vet the projects that you're interested in. Look for the white papers. If you join the Discord, figure out who the founders are, kind of do your own research. I mean, really, because you can join a group that seems legitimate and it's not. So you've really got to dig, do interviews if you can, read the white paper, just do background checks before investing or becoming a part of a community that, even if it does seem legitimate, I mean, there are some big brands out there I know of that have kind of experienced rug pulls, so just be aware of that.
Well, it's like in the real world, right?
Right, of
Bernie
course.
Madoff, or there's people think, oh, that's totally vetted. You have to do your own homework, and just because someone has power and influence and money and they're there doesn't mean that they're right and that they're that's the way you should go.
And to add on to that, it's just having a vetted team or having people that have that who they are, they're doxed, that doesn't always mean anything, because there's a rug where people are they want a scam, they've planned it to be a scam maybe from the beginning, collect $10 million and take off. But there's also the unanticipated, unintended scam or rug where a community founders can start and then it just becomes overwhelming. We're all people in the end. And so an artist may start a project and say, oh, I'm going to do this, and I have this plan and this plan and this plan and this plan. But as they're doing it, it becomes too much for them, and they're like, I can't do this anymore. So is that a scam? It's still early. We're inventing the future right now. And so it's I go back to, you just have to protect yourself. And there really isn't going to be any foolproof way that you can say, oh, I'm definitely going to do this project and then this project is going to earn me this much, or it doesn't mean I'm going to lose it all. That's still, it's like I said, it's still early days. So you want to make sure that you're just, understanding your own risk profile. And I'm all in. I mean, like, just personally, I will tell you, we sold our house last summer in the Bay Area, and all of the money, all of the equity we had created, and for the last, I don't know, we bought it in 2009, so however long that is, 13 years, 10 years, whatever, all of that equity we put into crypto. So I will tell you, that's where we are, but I also understand that that's not where everybody else is, and I just want everyone to just really think about what your own risk profile is before you decide to dive in.
Well, it's interesting because the freedom, there's responsibility obviously with this, but you contrast it with, the current state for investment where, the US government would say you're not rich enough or sophisticated enough to be a qualified investor, and thus you're shut out from all these sets of opportunities because you don't meet some threshold that the government has defined, right? And that's for safety, right? To protect the unsophisticated from participating in venture capital. And so in this world, there's no qualified investor, threshold that we need to cross. Like, we could all be investors, but that means there's no protections that are inherent in that. There's no clearance that you've proved yourself, right? So there's obviously extreme risk, in participating in that. So I think there's, again, for me, I'm in the same boat where I think it's all freedom and opportunity, but there's an incredible amount of responsibility that every person needs to actually inherently understand is theirs.
And it's true. You can start small and work your way up. The opportunity is there. And so I think that's the fun part, which is when I say, start small, what you can afford. The opportunity is incredible. There's so many smart people doing this right now. So many just people who are reinvigorated and are innovating. And I mean, I'm a believer, but really it's just starting small is okay right now. I guess that's what I want to actually.
I'm just curious. I was just sitting here watching everybody here, and we're talking about safety and security, and I'm 60 years old, and I'm thinking about this conversation that I have had decade after decade, because I was one of the pioneers of the internet. I invented online research. So for any of you that have ever taken those shitty surveys on the internet, I'm the mother of that invention. So, okay. So I'm just sitting here looking at all you young people, and I'm asking myself this question. So I'm just going to go back for a second. I'm sorry. I have to ask you all this question. So I was one of the Sims, original Sims people. So I'm thinking about all of you, and I'm just thinking, when Sims came out, why didn't that stick? Why are we now having this conversation with Web 3.0? And it's this big thing, and we're all so excited about it right now. Sorry, I have to ask you this question. And so I've been part of this world. I have Shelley at AOL.com. So, right? And I've been part of the internet when none of you were there. And it was so exciting for all of you. So I own Shelley, Shelley at AOL.com. I was one of the first on the internet. Yeah. Why wasn't Sims exciting for you
Does
then?
someone want to answer that? Just to kind of shout it out?
I just want to know.
Well, money. You couldn't live there.
So I'm sure we'd get a number of responses, but Shelley, question for you, and actually for all the panelists.
Okay.
Do you think the rise of Web3 that we're seeing now was started because of COVID? Yeah. I mean, people were at home. We had nothing to do. We couldn't go out. I was living in athleisure. It was amazing.
I think it accelerated growth. I mean, I feel like people had a little more time to do that because they weren't out.
It was just too soon, because it's just now. It was just too soon then, right? So now it's back.
But do you think COVID prompted that? If COVID never happened, do you think Web3 would have happened? Do you think people would have spent time at their computers minting NFTs, or would they have been out partying?
It's inevitable. This future is inevitable. Whether it would have come now or if it would have been 5 years from now, I mean, I don't know. But it's an inevitable future. We're all looking for ease in our lives to be able to do the things that we want to do without the friction. We talk a lot about web Web 1 or like with Amazon, like I said, I worked at a search company, but like initially with online shopping, people are saying, oh, I don't want to online shop. I need to try on my clothes. I need to try on my
Just
shoes.
accelerated it 5 years earlier.
But-
Could have happened 5 years from now.
Yeah, it's just inevitable. Now we all shop online and buy groceries online and buy everything online. Like, just how that's obvious, crypto is obvious, but when it would come around, yeah, people didn't have jobs anymore. Tourism ended in so many countries. And so now you have play to earn games where people are able to earn an income with crypto in playing games when maybe the resort in their small island has been shut down from crypto. Like, the desperation that people feel does fuel innovation and growth. So yes, I would say yes. But as far as whether it would exist at all, this is the future.
So it accelerated
I
like
agree.
5 years. Like pandemic
Maybe, I can't say, but definitely accelerated in terms of people were desperate and needed to live. I don't know what more motivation there is. You can't support your family, you're going to try anything. So, yeah, let's try crypto.
Okay, great.
And I mean, I think a part of Web3 as well, just given COVID, a lot of that is the metaverse that we're seeing, these metaverse societies where everything is digital and we have our avatars. But obviously NFTs play a part in that. Do you ladies want to elaborate on that?
We describe it a little bit or think about it as, NFTs are essentially enabling property rights, and that is a new concept, I think, for the internet, that you actually can own a thing that is scarce, that someone can't copy. And so I think about it as like a necessary precursor to enable the metaverse, because in a virtual economy, you're going to want to have things that you own, whether that's virtual land and somewhere like Decentraland, or whether that's, outfits that you're wearing, or that's music that you're listening to, or art that you want to exhibit. Like all these things, you need to own them. And so I think NFTs will be those building blocks or those Legos that facilitate so much creativity in the metaverse, because now you actually have property.
I do think about the mental health, the impact on our mental health when we're spending so much time on screens, when so much of our world is not real, like physical. The dopamine drip or the serotonin release on the brain that creates that feeling of well-being or boosts your immune system. I don't know that it's you do definitely get that reward sort of thing on the brain when you're gaming or doing things online. It's why we can waste a whole day scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. I think the jury's still out on it for this. My hope is that because it's part of our lives, we're also going to learn to create balance while we're building out our digital lives in a way that we could actually pay for things in the real world and enjoy them in the real world, that it will enhance the digital experience and vice versa, so that technology is actually enhancing the human condition and not taking over. It's a fine line, but I love sort of exploring that whole piece. And I would love to see something in the blockchain or in this space that inspires people to step back. Did you know that walking on actual grass, not CBD or THC grass, but walking on green grass versus walking on concrete actually creates a different effect on the brain, which makes you feel good? The sunshine, the air, that's important. And you can't just recreate all of that in the digital space.
You make a really good point, for sure, because I think although Web3 is on the rise in the metaverse, and we're seeing all of this innovation, it is good to get outside and get into the real world, go for a run, go for a jog. And I mean, how can you do that in the metaverse with getting that same feeling that you get in real life? It's difficult.
Yeah.
But you also make a good point that we're seeing the physical and digital tied together, for instance, with shops opening in the metaverse. Walmart mentioned that they probably already have it up. And you can be in their metaverse land, but also it's attached to the real life as well.
And I just think that the pandemic has given us all the whole perspective of hybrid everything. And so I think that Web 3.0 has just given us all a whole new hybrid reality. And I think we're ready for that now. And I think that's what we see in the workplace. And I think we've all looked at work-life balance and integration in a whole new way now. And I think that's what we expect in our lives. And I think that's what we're ready for. And I think that we're living in a 3.0 world. And I think that's why it's happening. Because that's what I think we are living 3.0. And I think that's what life is. So I think that's why we're ready for it.
Right.
I think that that's everything.
Right. Just based on that point, how can people get involved with Web3 when it comes to developers, for instance, but also just entrepreneurs looking to start their own project? How can they ensure that they get involved with this space early on? What's your advice?
It's still early. Don't just decide to start your own project. I would say no. What you want to do is you want to join projects, join a DAO. That's a decentralized autonomous organization. You can start, there's usually a path for contributors, education, join a DAO. Follow crypto Twitter. I mean, we have an account, Collab.Land. You can see who we follow, who follows us. Kind of educate yourself first. Join an NFT project, join a couple, see what they're doing and how they're doing it. Follow different artists, follow different thought leaders in the space. I definitely would not say the first thing you need to do is go out and start a project, but I think it's fast right now. We hire people for our company all the time, and one of the people we hired has been in this space for about 2 years. Didn't do anything tech related before he joined, started with a DAO, and within a year and a half, he's working for us fully in Web3. So there's a lot of opportunity right now. You don't necessarily have to rush to do a thing, but definitely rush to participate. There's a starting point at many, many different levels. So it's not like you have to have a certain amount of money. And I don't remember which one of these beautiful ladies said about how you don't have to be a qualified investor anymore. You don't. Anybody can do it right now. And, this executive order that just came out this week was crypto friendly. So I'm a little more optimistic about the fact that people even outside of our space are beginning to understand what the values are. So, yeah.
I would advise that there's no substitute for actually just playing with the technology yourself, and I think I'm surprised a lot of people are crypto interested who don't own a wallet, right? There's like these fundamental building blocks that once you start playing with things, I think you just learn so much. Like there's a QR code right here. That's like a POAP that you can scan on your way out. And all right, what does it mean for me to actually claim a free NFT? It probably will fail 3 times before it comes into your wallet. Okay, this is the friction. It's early days in this technology. And so I think but you say like, oh, this arrives. I mean, I got a POAP earlier today, and then someone airdropped me something. It's like dope NFT. It's now in my wallet. So you kind of get these surprise and delight moments. Like nothing substitutes, I think, for just like installing, a wallet, whether that's Coinbase or MetaMask or Rainbow or so many options. Buy a bit of cryptocurrencies so it's seeded. Buy your first NFT, claim a POAP. And I think through like using that technology, like it just creatives, I think, if you're a creator, you can your mind will begin spinning about how you can use it and what the applications can be for you. So I think just getting started with like a little bit of crypto and an NFT wallet is a great place to start.
Great. Did you lead?
My son sat me down and said, I know you keep asking me questions. You're so interested in this. You read and then you get more confused because you don't understand all the terminology. He said, just start by download the Voyager app, put in $100 and buy one of these 3 things if you want. Don't feel like you can't afford Bitcoin or Ethereum because you don't have, 33 or 38,000 or whatever it's at now. But he said, you can own a little tiny piece of something and just jump in, start swimming, and you'll start learning. And it's true. So even if you have $1, there's altcoins that you can buy that are a tenth of a penny or less. And not that that's what you should look at to invest. It's more like just playing and learning, and terminology starts to come in. I'm making a movie that I'm starting this month called Money, and it's all about the effects of money on our mental health and our relationships. But I am going to add crypto financial literacy components to it because I think there's just confusion, and that confusion paralyzes us,
right?
And creates doubt and keeps us from. It also is protecting us, right? Like it's helping us to be careful. But I think we need to learn to manage that a little bit.
Yeah. Right? We're all in every world. So in real life, in virtual life, crypto. So I'm in Web 3.0, so why not?
Right. My last question, because we're running out of time, is what are we most excited about for the future of Web3, and what do we think that's going to look like? So, for instance, I'm really excited about digital fashion and fashion NFTs, and I've been covering that quite a bit for Cointelegraph. What are you ladies excited about when it comes to the future of Web3?
I'm excited about decentralization. I'm excited about ownership, which Melody brought up a bit earlier, which is having what we do online, having what we like, what we share, what games we play, what movies we watch, having that be a part of understanding that's our work and we are worth something and collecting that value as well. The fact that I spent 13 years on Facebook sharing my daughter's adoption story and sharing whatever issue that I was dealing with at that time, or my parents' wedding anniversary, or our trip to Italy. Like, the fact that Facebook or any of these platforms took my information and sold ads against it, and I saw none of that. And what they provided to me was this platform, amazing, but they also made money off of my data and what I shared, and I should be a participant in that as well. So what am I the most excited about? We already live in the metaverse. I don't subscribe to this idea of the metaverse as being like The Sims, or like being some place like Decentraland or Sandbox or whatever. Like, I bank online, I'm in crypto, my friends are there, I use Twitter to communicate. Like, I'm already there. You know, my husband and I were stuck in a fire and we were evacuated, and I was like, what do I need to bring? I need my computer and I need my passport and my kids. And that was it. Like, all my worth, everything I own, everything I am, my entire identity is already on my computer, and I have my passport. So it's like, we're already there. We're already living there. So we should get our money back for it. Like, we're citizens of that world. And I helped create Facebook with my data, with what I shared. I participated in building that company, and yet I'm not an owner in it. There's no kickback to me. And this unlock of crypto and Web3 is that we all live online. Like, come on. We should get some of that.
Totally.
I love all of that.
I like that.
Oh, yeah, Sheila, Shelley. Yeah, Melody. Whoever wants to go.
I'll jump in. So I love that. I'm excited by just the collapsing of connection kind of between creator and fan, and like the removal of middlemen between them. I think even here at South by, several dozen artists are going to be participating in kind of a decentralized activation where they can have their fans, like if you're a small artist and you're playing for 20 people at a backroom bar here in Austin, people can scan that QR code, show they were there. And now for the first time, like tomorrow, they can communicate back to those people. They can airdrop something back to those 20 people. Like, that's facilitating, like, who are my first fans? Who are the people who showed up to my first concert? And how can I kind of use that as a springboard to like build my 1,000 true fans that can be self-sustaining in a business? So I think this ability to reduce gatekeepers and kind of use the technology to bring creators and fans closer together. So much is already happening. And similar to the publishing companies, that Anjali alluded to, or the record labels or the film buyers, like so much that's going to collapse. I think for the benefit of both fans and artists.
Right. We have 1 minute left, so both of you.
I like that the girls are going to be teaching the boys Web 3.0.
I like that I don't have to remember a million passwords because my wallet will get me into all these different communities, and I just want to utilize the power of peers to eradicate racism. And I feel like there's an opportunity here for that.
Right. Yeah, such powerful messages. Thank you so much, ladies, and thank you to the audience. Thank you to Blockchain Creative Labs. It's been a real pleasure to be here, and hopefully all of you can follow up with us in person and on social media. We're all there, so thanks.